All right, let's jump right into something truly compelling today. A fascinating comparison exploring two ancient worldviews on mortality and, how they each defined what it meant to live the good life. We've got a stack of incredible sources here to unpack, putting the legendary Spartans against, well, the profound Stoics. Our mission really is to pull out the most important insights, maybe some surprising facts, and give you a kind of shortcut to being well informed on these powerful philosophies.
Exactly. And this isn't just like surface level beliefs.
Hmm.
We're aiming for a deep dive into why these beliefs were so fundamental, how they shaped entire cultures, individual lives, and critically, what we can actually learn from them today, right now, as we grapple with life's big questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we started looking through these sources, the Spartans, they immediately jump out, don't they? Especially in how they tackled this ultimate question of mortality. You think Spartan, you probably picture these incredible warriors. And for good reason. Their view of death was just so deeply tied to honor, specifically death in battle. Yeah. They saw that as the absolute pinnacle of existence. It was like woven into their very identity.
That's key.
And that famous Spartan maxim, it just says it all, doesn't it? Mothers telling their sons, come back with your shield or on it.
Yeah.
Just think about that for a second. The sheer starkness of it.
It's intense.
It wasn't just about winning, it was never retreat. Ever. Dropping your shield. That meant total disgrace, cowardice.
Unthinkable.
So you either came home victorious, shield in hand, or, well, you came home dead, carried on that shield.
Yeah.
Makes our daily pressures seem a bit different, eh? No wonder they were legendary.
And it's crucial to understand this wasn't just, a dramatic saying for battle. This mindset was rigorously, brutally drilled into them from childhood.
The Agoge, right.
Exactly, the Agoge. State-sponsored military training, yes, but not just physical. It was total moral indoctrination, cultivating bravery, endurance, and above all, this unshakable collective loyalty.
To the state.
To the state, precisely. The whole system was designed to forge these self-sacrificing warriors who just wouldn't flinch from duty, even facing death.
That sounds incredibly intense. I mean, did the sources mention the psychological side of that, the potential toll, or was it purely framed as building this unbreakable mental strength?
Their sources mostly emphasize the outcome, the intended effect.
Yeah.
It was seen as the path to this unmatched discipline, this resilience. For a Spartan, dying honorably wasn't just like a good option. It was flat out superior to living in shame.
Wow.
Life itself was basically a proving ground for your courage. You showed your worth by facing death head-on, ideally for the polis, for the state. And that belief system, it really built that society known for discipline, resilience, and almost terrifying mental fortitude. It shaped everything.
Something that really surprised me, though, digging into this, Marcus Aurelius even points it out, there's this unexpected side. Despite the military might, they apparently value generosity, too. Hospitality?
Yeah. Spartans.
Yeah. Like during festivals, they'd stand in the sun so guests could have the shade.
Huh. That's not the usual image.
Right. It shows maybe a deeper layer to their discipline, Their good life was maybe more complex than just battle. And that complexity makes the contrast with Stoicism even more fascinating because the Stoics took such a radically different approach.
Radically different is the word. Yeah, transitioning to the Stoics. It's a profound contrast. Spartans saw death as this crucible for honor, right? Stoics embraced it as natural, neutral even, an utterly inevitable part of life. For them, death wasn't something to glorify or fear. It was just part of the cosmic order. No inherent moral weight to it.
So death was just there, like leaves falling.
Exactly like leaves falling in winter. That's a very Stoic image, actually. It happens to everyone. Kings, warriors, philosophers, doctors, no exceptions. And understanding this wasn't about being morbid. It was about freeing yourself from anxiety about things you ultimately can't control.
Which leads straight to that core Stoic exercise, doesn't it? Memento Mori.
Remember, you will die.
Yeah. Sounds grim, but it was practical. That example of Roman elites having servants whisper reminders of mortality.
Right, in their ear, yeah.
It wasn't about dread, was it? It was about, focus.
Absolutely about focus and perspective. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, he wrote about this constantly in his meditations. He stressed how death equalizes everyone. King or commoner makes no difference in the end. And accepting your mortality, he argued, helps you appreciate the present moment.
Ah.
And it reinforces the core Stoic goal. Live virtuously right here, right now, regardless of what's happening outside of you. Focus on what you can control, your character, your responses.
That sounds like a powerful path to peace, for sure. But I wonder, did people back then ever criticize it? Like, could that much acceptance lead to apathy?
That's a really good question.
If death doesn't matter, why bother doing anything difficult?
And the Stoics definitely addressed that. Their acceptance wasn't about apathy at all. Quite the opposite. For them, the only thing that truly mattered, the only real good, was virtue. Your own moral character. Epictetus, another major Stoic figure, had this amazing exchange with a student who was afraid. He basically said, "Did I ever promise you wouldn't die? No. But I do promise no one can force you to be bad."
Ah, right. That's the key.
That's the absolute cornerstone. Virtue is the only true good.
Yeah.
Nothing external, not death, not exile, not pain, can take away your inner integrity unless you let it.
Unless you consent to it, essentially.
Precisely. It's all about that internal control. That inner citadel, as they sometimes called it.
So the ultimate goal wasn't just peace, but this active internal alignment.
Exactly. Alignment with reason, with nature. Which brings us to this really compelling Stoic idea. Aiming to be God in their conduct.
God. How did they mean that?
Not literally, of course.
Yeah.
But to emulate divine reason. To remain virtuous, rational, calm, no matter what life throws at you.
Yeah.
We see it in their lives. Epictetus himself was exiled to this barren island, right? He saw it not as a punishment, but as a perfect chance to practice philosophy, to live his teachings. His own mentor, Musonius Rufus, had a similar experience with exile, used it as a kind of training ground for virtue.
Wow. So challenges weren't obstacles, but opportunities.
Opportunities for virtue. That's the Stoic reframing. Every single time.
Okay, so let's put them side by side then. Spartan versus Stoic. The differences are stark, aren't they?
Incredibly illuminating when you contrast them directly.
So how they viewed death. Spartan saw it as honorable, the ultimate test. Stoic saw it as natural, inevitable, neutral.
Right.
Purpose of life. For Spartans, glory in battle, service to the state. For Stoics, living virtuously according to reason and nature.
Very different aims.
Their response to death. Spartans, courage, pride, maybe even eagerness for an honorable end. Stoics, equanimity, acceptance, clarity.
Calm acceptance versus fierce embrace.
And their greatest fear. For Spartans, it was cowardice, dishonor, letting down the state.
External judgment.
For Stoics, it was internal, losing their virtue, becoming bad in their own actions or character.
Yeah, betraying their own reason.
And that ultimate moral goal reflects this too. Spartans, glory, military excellence. Stoics, becoming like God, that perfectly virtuous being aligned with nature.
And that contrast really nails the core difference, doesn't it? Spartans focused outward on external validation, the state's honor, how they appeared to others, making their mark on the world through action and reputation.
Yeah.
Stoics focused inward on internal virtue, self-mastery, alignment with the cosmos, making their mark, you could say, on their own soul.
One looking out, the other looking in. It's so clear when you put it like that. What strikes me, though, is that despite these radically different paths, one building a society around external glory, the other purely focused on individual internal virtue. They both found their good life by staring mortality right in the face.
That's a powerful observation.
It almost makes you think that acknowledging death isn't just some grim necessity, but maybe it's the essential first step to finding purpose, regardless of what virtues you then choose to build on that foundation.
It forces a kind of clarity, perhaps, a sorting of priorities.
Exactly. So let's bring this home. How could we apply this today? What would it mean to live like a Spartan now?
Good question.
I guess it would mean tackling challenges with that kind of fierce courage, right? Accepting hardship, maybe even seeking it out as part of growth, rejecting easy comforts for discipline. You could see it in, I don't know, an entrepreneur pushing through insane odds or an athlete's relentless training.
Yeah, that relentless pursuit of a difficult goal, valuing the struggle itself.
It might seem extreme, maybe even unhealthy in some modern context, but you can definitely admire the bravery that focus on something bigger than just personal ease.
Definitely admirable in its intensity and commitment. And what about living like a Stoic today?
Well, that feels maybe more directly applicable for many of us day to day. It means cultivating that inner virtue, that sense of goodness, despite whatever life throws at you. Staying present, being at peace with mortality, yes, but also with the everyday frustrations you can't control.
Like a difficult commute or a setback at work.
Exactly. Or bigger things, personal loss, global uncertainty. It's about choosing your response, focusing on your own integrity, not letting external events shatter your inner calm.
Maintaining that internal fortress, focusing on your character above all else. So as you, the listener, reflect on these two very different, very powerful paths, Which one resonates more? Or maybe it's parts of each. Which perspective speaks to your way of facing life's challenges, its uncertainties?
What an incredible journey, really, through these two ancient worldviews. We've seen how Spartans and Stoics, taking such different routes, both profoundly shaped their views on life, death, purpose, and they still offer us so much insight thousands of years later.
They really do. And maybe here's a final thought for you to chew on. Given that both these groups, Spartans and Stoics, with their radically different approaches, both felt the need to confront mortality head-on to define their good life. What does that really tell us about the human condition? About a deep need to find meaning in our finite time? How do you choose to face life's ultimate certainty? And, maybe more importantly, what virtues do you choose to lean on as you navigate it all?